to interact with someone. There's many people out there that don't know what's right and what's wrong in a relationship. And so what Frigid Pharaoh allows us to do is to understand where those parameters are. And by the way, if you try to cross those parameters and basically act physically abusive of the robot, which, by the way, no one will do because they're an expensive robot, they're an expensive product. So, but if they do that, the robot shuts down because in no way do we support physical or sexual abuse for the robot.
How lifelike are these products? Well, describe them to everybody. I felt the skin of a robot like this.
Sure. It's very interesting. Sure. We basically replicated a human form because the human form is what people are used to working with or interacting with. So the robot looks like a person, feels like a person, and it has sensors throughout its body. So if you were to shake the robot's hand, if you were to put your arm on her shoulder, and so forth, the robot knows what you're doing and understands the intent because we have artificial intelligence that understands what you're trying to do or what your intent is and help you with the communication with the robot.
So let's take a look at Roxy, one of these robots.
My head goes side to side and back and forth. My eyes go up and down and side to side.
So let me push you a little bit. So you have an opportunity for people to buy a robot of their ex. Right. Do you think that's healthy?
Well, first of all, you cannot create the likeness of a person that's living unless you have the permission of that person. But a good analogy to that or another opportunity is if someone had someone that passed, and we've had this happen. So if this gentleman's wife passed away and he was very lonely and so forth, so because it was his wife, we were able to create a likeness of her.
I appreciate the noble goal, but can I just ask the audience, I'm curious, I'm looking at your faces. How many of you think would look kindly on that happening in your family? You know, someone passing and a doll being made. Put your hands up if you think it's okay. Put your hands up if you're worried about that. It's interesting. I thought the audience would be more split. There's a lot of concern, fear.
Right.
I saw in the earlier segment when we talked about acting out on the dolls.
Well, let me put it this way. How many people have pets in the audience? How many people talk to their pets as humans? I'll tell you the number. It's 97% of people talk to their pets as they're a human. In other words, it's basically anthropomizing. It's creating a likeness of a person, superimposing that on a non-human. And that's what we do with our robots. We're basically providing a caregiver. By the way, the sexual component is a very small component. It's 5 to 10% of the actual interaction with the robot because what they really need is love, unconditional love and support. And that's our gold standard. That's what we provide. True Convenience provides unconditional love and support.
So let me ask you about the sex part, the 10%, but also it flows into the emotional side. Do you wake up every once in a while worried that people will be replacing true human intimacy, something that's so vital to who we are, with a robotic imitation that can't, I don't think, at least for now, be the same, but maybe one day with brilliant people like you become so darn close that humans could go either way?
It could happen. It's unlikely. I think what's much more likely is that we create robots that provide basically like training wheels, an opportunity for people to learn how to engage with a partner, whether it's I'll give you an example. If you had a partner, many people think about, have fantasies of having a threesome, if you will, or just engaging in that kind of relationship. But the reality is there's so much stigma around that. We're basically helping people be more of who they want to be, just like training wheels do on a bicycle.
And let me go back to this issue of violence. You're one of the people creating these devices. You must have concerns about the robots being used violently, even though they're expensive, being used to train people to do bad things.
Sure, there could be that occurrence where that would happen. And by the way, our software shuts down. The machine shuts down. We do not support sexual or physical abuse in any way. So the robot's actually programmed, so if it's experiencing that, we shut down the robot because we will not support that in any way.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Up next, so just who are the people who use these robots? Stick around.